Dana K. White. I am the author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life, How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind. And today I'm going to talk about how to get rid of the schtank, the stink, the smell. So sunlight is my favorite way to get rid of the stink. All right. You think they're gone? Like the other people? The people who just rarely, occasionally end up in a situation where they need to get rid of a smell, like a little smell. Okay, now let's talk to those of us who totally know what schtank means, right? Okay, so I'm gonna give you several different ways to deal with difficult, really bad smells, okay? So this is a suitcase, which I've got my face over it. So anyway, this is a suitcase that my daughter took with her to the base camp where she then went on a 12-day hike. And then she came back from the 12-day hike and took her stuff out of the backpack after several days of rain on that 12-day hike. Took her stuff out of the backpack that they had provided and then shoved it into this suitcase. And then it was several days before the suitcase could be opened. So let's all just think about that smell, okay? Yeah, exactly. So it was time to deal with the schtank. The clothes obviously went straight into the washer, but you can't stick the whole suitcase into the washer. So how do you deal, and all these little packing cubes too, right? How do you deal with the schtank? Well, again, my favorite solution for schtank is sunlight because it is the best solution, also the easiest, right? So I actually talk about this and some parallels in my new book, but anyway. But yeah, so this, golly, y'all, it's actually been a while and it still stinks big time. All right, sorry about the dog barking in the background. Hi, all the dogs who think that your neighbor is barking instead of my neighbor. All right, but let's talk about how to deal with schtank because sunlight is great. You don't always have sunlight. It's, not everything can be opened up into the sunlight. So a couple things that I've learned over the years. Number one, and this is the top one. And this is the one that's the reason why I was like, how about everybody else just leave and let's get down to just those of us who really need this stuff, right? The first thing you have to do when something stinks is to clean anything that can be cleaned. I'm going to have to move this a little farther away from my face. I'm sorry. You have to clean anything that needs to be cleaned. So I remember watching a show years ago. Y'all probably remember it. Some of you do because y'all know everything. But it was this guy who, I think he had red hair and he was super muscular, and he would go in. My husband is the one, he loves to work out, right? And so I remember him saying that he was super muscular. Anyway, so he would go in and he would design these homes, get them ready to sell. So he would change things up, right? And I remember them going into this house that smelled like smoke and him saying, okay, well, the first thing you need to do is clean the walls, clean the blinds. He was like, look at the blinds here, how it's got oh my word, dog. Whatever, it is what it is. All right. So he said, look at the dust that's on these blinds. That smoke smell is in that dust. And so that's the first thing you need to do. And I was like, I never would have thought of that. Anyway, the girl that was the host was this super beautiful. Anyway, they always had this chemistry. It was really sweet. So anyway, but that is the first thing to do. And I'm going to tell you another story at the end that's really embarrassing about me. And that one, hopefully, if anybody has hung on, they won't be here by then, right? Okay, so the first thing to do is clean anything that can be cleaned. This means if something explodes in your car, like a gallon of milk that you left out there in the summer, whatever, the first thing to do is clean anything that needs to be cleaned. That may mean that you have to somehow get the carpet up and get down underneath there, scrub, clean anything that can be cleaned. But we all know that there are things that you clean and then there's still a lingering smell. Again, sunshine is great. You can't necessarily get sunshine into the inside of your car. Other things that work really well that I have personally used, charcoal. Charcoal Yeah, like actual charcoal. You don't have to like break it up or anything like that, but putting charcoal in the space, spreading it out, and it will absorb the smells. You don't want to use that same charcoal, I don't think, for, cooking burgers later. But anyway, another thing that we have used is coffee grounds, like not the actual thing. But again, you're not going to drink this later. But we bought a used Suburban, and it just had a smell to it, right? And so I had a dish of coffee grounds that I put in the car for a couple of weeks, and it just kind of absorbed that smell. Okay. Another thing is vinegar. Vinegar is a great smell neutralizer. So that is something that I could do if it was winter and we didn't have sunshine to deal with this. Spraying it down with some vinegar does not smell good in the beginning, but it ends up neutralizing that smell. Okay. I would love to hear your examples in the comments of other ways that you deal with the schtank, if you've ever had to deal with it. Okay. So I told you I was going to tell you another story about myself. So when I was a mom of young kids and the internet was a new thing, yes, back in the day, when I had just discovered some mom board, I was never like super involved in it, but I was like, oh, this is like moms asking questions and other people answering them. So I had this question one day, and my question was, how do I deal with the smell in my sink? Like, it stinks so bad. It has to be that there's something down in those pipes. I mean, this is a terrible smell. And down in those pipes, I probably need some kind of major chemical, right? Or, is there a better way? Is there something I can do that's natural? And so I was asking this question. I got so many pieces of advice. There's different things that you could actually, use, and it fizzes up and it cleans out your drain. Other people talked about, like boiling water and then using lemon juice and stuff like that. And so I had all these ideas of things that I was going to do. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try the boiling water thing first, because obviously I can just do that. I don't have to run out and get anything. Okay. So before I could do the boiling water thing, well, I had to clean out the sink first, right? And so I washed the dishes so that I could get to the drain so that I could pour boiling water down it. And once I washed the dishes, the stink was gone. Yeah. The number one thing to do when there's a stink is to clean whatever you can clean. It's kind of like how I always try to teach y'all, and I always, preach, do the dishes, right? Like, if you don't know what to do, do the dishes. If you smell something in your house, do the dishes. If you look at your kitchen and you think this is a horrible, terrible disaster and I'm never going to do the dishes, right? Because clean the thing. If you know where the smell is coming from, the first thing to do is to clean it in whatever way you have available. I use dish soap for a lot of different cleaning things. I'll use dish soap on the kitchen counter. I'll use dish soap to clean, I'll use warm soapy water to clean off a chair. Whatever it is that you have, the first thing to do when you smell the schtank is to try to clean it. But then also know that there are other wonderful methods. My favorite is the sunshine. If I can use the sunshine, I'm going to use the sunshine. So this, I know, is going to start smelling better soon because I've got it in the sun. So my goal is to get it angled up into the sunlight. So I'm going to put something under it and leave it there for a while. I don't want to leave it too long because I don't want it to fade and all that, right? And I don't want it to get caught in the rain. But I'm going to leave it in the sunshine so it can take care of the schtank. I'd love to hear y'all's best methods for getting rid of the schtank. I hope that was helpful. I will talk to y'all next week. If you want to, hear the spiritual parallel on this whole thing, check out my new book. I've linked it in the description of this video. All right. Bye, y'all.